Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're taking a massive, let's call it a genre-bending shortcut.
Shortcut, yeah.
To being instantly informed about a piece of media that, honestly, it seems to defy all categorization. It sounds less like a typical musical.
Oh, way less.
And more like the product of some experimental storytelling lab that, ran out of safety warnings a long time ago.
That's the perfect way to frame it. I mean, our mission today is incredibly focused. We are going deep, really deep into a single source. Just one. It's a detailed commentary and review of something called Sabrina's musical special. But this isn't just a standard review. It's more like an itinerary for narrative chaos.
And the chaos is apparently high quality. That's the part that gets me. The source we're dissecting rates this special a perfect 10 out of 10.
Perfect score.
Yet the details it provides suggest a plot that incorporates, well, every genre you can imagine. We're talking high fantasy, meta-narrative, musical theater.
And all of it is fused together with some truly shocking, boundary-pushing and explicit comedic side plots.
Absolutely. The source material is so crucial here because it gives us the blueprint, the actual structure of the special.
It does. But it also catalogs its most transgressive moments. It lists the full cast, the friction points, specific songs, and it even analyzes this special's philosophy toward humor.
It really is a roadmap, isn't it? A roadmap through a very, very unusual creative landscape.
It is.
So we are ready to follow that map. But first, the setup is just... It's strangely whimsical. It sets a tone that is almost immediately betrayed.
Right.
Let's signal the initial hook because the entire spectacle is launched not by some grand announcement, but by Sabrina Laura's talking pet dog.
A talking dog.
That dog is the one who kicks the whole thing off, announcing this big music show.
And what's immediately fascinating about that as an entry point is the signal it sends to the audience.
Yeah.
A talking pet dog is, classic. It's charming.
Right, it feels safe.
It's potentially low-stakes comedy.
Yeah.
It's this whimsical catalyst that tells you, okay, we're entering a cartoon world where magical realism is the norm.
But that charming start, it then serves as this incredibly sharp contrast to the genuine dramatic conflict and the morally ambiguous comedy that follows right after.
It completely sets the stage for absurdity.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We'll start with the very foundation in section 1. The plot setup, the cast, which is massive, and the friction that's already there before the first song is even rehearsed.
The structural foundation of this special, it rests entirely on that simple, almost silly catalyst. The talking dog doesn't just suggest the show.
No, it announces it.
It announces it as a major high-stakes event. This is the inciting incident. It's the spark that suddenly requires this huge cast to spring into action.
And when you look at the participants that the reviewer lists, you realize this isn't some small, garage band putting on a show. The scale is enormous.
It's huge.
This is clearly an attempt to cram every single recognizable face from this paper series into one central narrative event.
Precisely. The reviewer lists Cody, Laura, James, Kimmy, David. Then there's a collective called the Dumb People Crew.
Okay.
Jackson, Stephanie Jr., and another group called the Blues. Just think about that roster for a moment.
It's a huge ensemble.
It is. It suggests the ambition here isn't just to put on a show, but to create a definitive, a landmark event for the entire franchise.
And managing that many personalities, especially in a musical...
It's an immediate recipe for chaos, which is clearly what the special just leans right into.
Yeah, and we don't even have to wait for the show to begin for that chaos to pop up. The review points out that there's immediate established friction. It's baked right into the drama from the start.
We see that pre-show conflict emerging on two fronts. First, you have the standard interpersonal rivalry.
Okay.
The source says Wendy and Clara are fighting and calling each other names. This is just the background noise of any large production, right?
Chatty squabbles, yeah. Grounds the characters.
Exactly. But the structurally significant conflict is the introduction of Jackson's overwhelming arrogance.
And Jackson isn't just a good singer who knows he's good. The review says he is boasting about being better than everyone else. That level of ego, it isn't just a personality trait. It feels like a structural weakness that the story is designed to exploit.
It absolutely creates a narrative target. In any ensemble story, the character who claims they're the best, that they have absolute superiority.
Right.
They're either set up for a humiliating fall, or they're going to drive everyone else completely mad.
And that tension is the fuel. It's the dramatic fuel that makes this musical feel important. If they all just got along.
It would just be talent show, a boring one.
Exactly. With Jackson, it's a high-stakes competition from the get-go.
Yep.
So with the cast assembled and the egos already clashing, Sabrina starts assigning roles and making preparations. And the logistical detail here, this is what I love, because it completely undercuts the grandiosity of it all.
It's the best part. That's the brilliance of the source, reporting this specific detail. Despite the grand ambition, the talking dog, the huge cast, the role assignment process reveals the low-budget, spontaneous nature of the whole production. Laura and James are sent to the store to buy some music things. Just some music things. This suggests a completely improvisational, almost frantic effort. They didn't have the materials ready.
They had to scramble for equipment, maybe instruments or parts of costumes.
Exactly. It implies the show went from just an idea to a full performance in an incredibly short time frame.
It's the perfect contrast. You have this grand, all-encompassing musical announced by a magical creature, staffed by a massive celebrity roster, yet it's operating essentially out of a small convenience store run. The collision of high ambition and low operational budget is a point of humor in itself.
And this contrast, this DIY element married to the immense scope, is likely a key reason why the reviewer found the special so appealing.
It suggests a certain creative spirit.
It does. A spirit that pushes past logistical constraints.
Yeah.
It helps justify why a show with such raw, transgressive humor also has a core of, high-quality musical numbers.
That really sets the foundation. Okay, so now let's shift entirely into section 2, because we move from that structural setup to outright narrative disruption. This is where the special completely departs from anything resembling standard reality.
Yeah, this is where it gets weird.
It introduces meta-narrative, fantasy violence, and some very unexpected crashers.
This section is really the core argument for why the special is so unique. It's where the high-stakes ego of Jackson meets the literal breaking of the fictional rules.
And Jackson isn't just a standard villain or rival here.
No, he's operating on an entirely different cognitive plane.
Let's detail his superiority complex because it manifests as a direct acknowledgement of the fictional universe itself.
Right. So Jackson doesn't just boast about being the best performer in the special. He goes full meta.
The fourth wall break.
He literally breaks the fourth wall, proclaiming he is better than everyone else in this entire paper series. And we really have to pause here, because that is a profound narrative move.
It totally changes the relationship between the special and us, the audience. What does it even mean for a character to acknowledge the paper series?
It implies that Jackson is not just self-aware. He's franchise-aware.
He knows he's a character in a series.
He understands the nature of his own existence as a serialized character, and this immediately places him in a position of narrative power. It's as if he can look down on the other characters who are totally unaware of their fictional nature.
That kind of self-referential humor is, it's a high-level creative device. It's usually reserved for things like, Deadpool or specific kinds of comedy cartoons.
Exactly. The reviewer is clearly rewarding this sophisticated structural joke.
So it elevates the conflict. He's not just arguing about who sings better. He's arguing about who is the most important character across the entire fictional canon.
That's it. His superiority claim is based on his perceived significance to the audience, or maybe even to the creators, not just his in-story talent.
The implication is that Jackson is aware he is being written, and he believes he should be the star.
It's a bold narrative choice. It signals that the special is constantly willing to subvert its own reality for either dramatic or comedic effect.
And this meta-superiority, it directly provokes the central dramatic conflict of the whole thing, the Cody-Jackson feud. Jackson, driven by this overwhelming ego, picks on Cody, and that sets off this unbelievable chain reaction.
The escalation is immediate, it's completely unnecessary, and it's absolutely spectacular. The moment Jackson picks on Cody, Cody becomes furious.
And his response isn't a witty comeback.
No. It's not a verbal retort or a challenge to a sing-off. He instantly unleashes his wizard form.
A wizard form. We are, minutes into a musical special, and we have already crossed the line from interpersonal drama into a full-blown fantasy power-up.
It's the ultimate tonal whiplash, and it serves a clear purpose. Narrative expediency mixed with pure spectacle.
Why resolve conflict with dialogue when you can have magic?
Exactly. Why talk it out when you can resolve it with an instant magical transformation? This suggests the special is just dedicated to constant surprise. The presence of magic, specifically a wizard form, completely reframes the stakes of their rivalry.
It turns a rehearsal space into a battleground.
It does. And this kind of genre-hopping chaos is essential to understanding why the special earned a 10 out of 10 from a reviewer who clearly values these completely unexpected narrative moves.
And just as that internal drama peaks with wizard battles, the outside world literally crashes in. This is the major plot twist.
The Chaos Crew arrives.
Uninvited.
Uninvited. And the Chaos Crew are basically plot devices designed for external anarchy. They crash the music show, but they don't just interrupt.
They perform.
They perform a targeted satirical song designed to provoke a very specific reaction.
And the source is very precise about the content here. They sing a parody of the song Peaches,
which was a massive hit at the time.
Yeah.
And the lyrics of that parody are key because they connect the disruption directly back to the central cast.
So it's not random.
Not at all. The parody is explicitly about Butters confessing his love for Cody. This is brilliant, structurally, because it confirms Cody's significance.
Right.
He's not only a wizard-wielding, explicit singing central performer, but he is also the subject of external, potentially romantic, public mockery via a high-profile song parody.
Cody is truly the gravitational center of this special. He attracts magical power, intense rivalry from Jackson, and now this public adoration or ridicule from the Chaos Crew.
It shows the special is highly self-aware about its own character dynamics and running gags.
The narrative isn't just throwing random chaos at the wall.
No, the chaos is specific, it's targeted, and it always serves to heighten the tension surrounding the main players. This high density of character-specific plot twists is, it's a hallmark of strong, engaging writing, even if the execution involves wizards and disruptive parody bands.
Okay, so moving from those structural conflicts, we now have to enter Section 3. And this is where we cover the side plots and comedic elements that truly challenge the audience's and the reviewers' sensibilities.
Yeah, this is the tough stuff.
These are the moments that push far beyond conventional boundaries and are central to understanding that 10 out of 10 rating.
And we have to report these details impartially, as documented content that was analyzed by the reviewer. We need to focus on the reviewer's complex reaction to them.
Because the special clearly aims for shock comedy.
It does. And the reviewer acknowledges both the, quote, cleverness and the profound inappropriateness of these elements.
Let's begin with the Kimmy story arc. Structurally, it starts with her facing a standard musical hurdle, which then leads to a moment of, well, outright controversy.
Right. So Kimmy, a key performer, she loses her voice in the middle of the special. This is a classic narrative trope for a musical, right? The show must go on crisis.
Sure, very standard.
This creates a functional need for a replacement. And David's son, Larry, is temporarily slated to be David's new singing partner until Kimmy recovers. That's the clean structural solution.
But the narrative uses her impaired state, her inability to speak properly, as a vehicle for a really shocking line. This is the moment the commentary directly identifies as a typical racist joke.
Yes. When Kimmy couldn't really talk, the source reports that she says the line. Again, we're quoting the source here. She says that she doesn't like black people.
Wow.
The fact that the special injects this highly offensive racist joke right into the middle of a narrative crisis. A crisis that could have been resolved with simple dramatic tension.
It suggests a desire to constantly use shock as a comedic mechanism.
Exactly. The reviewer explicitly labels it a typical racist joke, documenting its presence while still maintaining their high rating, which is a significant contradiction we really need to sit with.
It forces us to acknowledge that, for this reviewer at least, the overall performance and the story's momentum were powerful enough to neutralize or overcome the inherent offensiveness of specific lines.
Or maybe the audacious inclusion itself is what the reviewer found creatively brave, if not, morally sound.
And this commitment to audacious, transgressive humor, it continues with the subplot involving a character named Roy. And this one is profoundly inappropriate given the ages involved.
This one is very difficult. Roy's comedic subplot is centered around Cody's younger brother, Max, who the source explicitly states is only 3 years old.
3
years old. Roy, who we have to assume is much older, introduces a game he wants to play with this toddler.
And the specific nature of this game is where the comedy spirals into deeply problematic territory.
Yes. The game is called Stretch the Willy, which the reviewer confirms refers to Max's lower region. This is, without exaggeration, the most shocking detail in the entire commentary.
And the reviewer's analysis of it is equally complex.
It is. This is where we need to focus on the nuance of the reviewer's evolving response, rather than just the content itself, because their reaction changes.
So how did the commentary initially receive this joke?
The initial reaction was a measure of appreciation for the dark audacity of it. The source states they thought it was a pretty clever joke at first.
Clever.
Clever, yeah. This suggests an appreciation for the shocking juxtaposition, the way the innocent term game is used to cloak highly inappropriate subject matter. It's the mechanism of the dark joke that initially landed well with the reviewer.
But then the analysis shifts. It confirms that the reviewer themselves had a line that was crossed.
Absolutely. The appreciation for the cleverness quickly vanishes. The reviewer later deems the joke so wrong, specifically because of the explicit age difference.
The 13-year-old and the 3-year-old.
A 13-year-old character messing with a 3-year-old child in this manner. This is critical. The special presented the content, and the reviewer, who was initially receptive to dark humor, realized the specific context of that age gap, pushed it past their own moral boundaries.
Even though they maintained the 10 out of 10 overall rating.
Which is the core puzzle here. And crucially, the reviewer noted that this wasn't a one-time boundary test. This specific, highly controversial joke was, quote, reused in other episodes after this one.
So it became a running gag.
That detail elevates the analysis. It confirms that the creators weren't just testing the waters. This stretch the willy joke became a staple of their comedic repertoire.
For the reviewer to document its reuse tells us that this type of edgy, inappropriate humor is a defining, recurring stylistic choice of the paper series.
Exactly. The joke's persistence reinforces the idea that the series embraces controversy as a fundamental element of its identity.
It is a remarkable finding. A high-level creative production that consistently employs content the reviewer themselves deems structurally wrong, yet still warrants a perfect score due to its overall narrative success.
That juxtaposition is the central theme of this deep dive.
Yeah.
Now let's move to the last bizarre side plot, which involves a celebrity crossover and a complete warping of an established character.
Steve Hale.
Steve Hale, yes.
And for context, a lot of people are going to know Steve Hale from the Fuller House universe, where he is famous for being a podiatrist, a foot doctor.
That background context is absolutely essential for the joke to land. The special takes that professional connection to feet and just warps it into an extreme character trait.
So instead of a professional doctor, in the special, Steve Hale has a foot fetish that goes too far.
And the specific action the reviewer documented is explicit. He literally sniffs everyone's feet.
Which is a complete contradiction to his established, professional, and, relatively tame persona on the other show.
It's pure meta-commentary mixed with shock value. They took a benign piece of character trivia foot doctor and amplified it to grotesque levels for comedic effect.
And how did the source describe it?
The source describes this subplot as so weird, but it's funny. This just reinforces the idea that the special's humor relies heavily on meta-awareness and grotesque exaggeration. The goal is to surprise, to shock, and to elicit a laugh based on the sheer audacity of the transformation.
So, after documenting racist jokes, jokes involving children and sexual content, explicit fetishes, the reviewer still finds the content effective enough to warrant the highest possible praise.
Which signals that we need to pivot now. We need to talk about the music.
The music, right. Because the musical structure must be immensely powerful to counteract this level of consistent transgression.
Absolutely. So Section 4, this focuses on analyzing the soundtrack and the performance highlights. The songs are the structural backbone that must hold together all the chaos generated by Jackson's ego, Cody's wizard form, and all these inappropriate side plots.
And the source gives us a clear list of the songs performed by the main cast.
It does.
Let's review the specific songs performed by individual characters or pairs because they really do provide the structure for these musical segments.
Okay, so we can see a mix of romantic duets and character-driven solos. You have Laura and James performing We Are in Love.
Okay, so a classic love ballad.
Suggesting their relationship is a primary, maybe a stabilizing emotional core of the show. Then Kimmy and David sing Fernando is a Star.
Which sounds like a high-energy number.
Probably a high-energy number that happens before Kimmy loses her voice, which sets up her conflict perfectly.
And the solos are particularly revealing of the character dynamics. Stephanie performs a fairly classic musical theater standard, The Boy Next Door.
And Junior sings The Sun is a Star, which gives one of the, smaller participants, a moment in the spotlight.
But the most thematically perfect song, of course, belongs to Jackson.
Of course. Given his fourth wall-breaking ego complex, his solo is titled, "Somebody's Gotta Be the Favorite."
That's perfect.
It perfectly encapsulates his internal monologue and his rivalry with Cody. The song itself serves as the articulation of his dramatic motivation.
The blues also contribute a track, which further illustrates the special's habit of borrowing from external media.
Yes, they sing, "Oh No, What We're Gonna Do," which the source says is from the children's animated series, VeggieTales.
That tonal shift is just jarring. We have standard relationship songs, ego anthems, and then a reference to a faith-based children's show.
And that whiplash continues immediately with Cody's contribution.
We have to highlight Cody's song choice, as it fits the special's overall tone of raw, explicit language. Cody sings, "Bitches in My Truck."
So if we just pause there, the sequence of songs alone is narratively chaotic. We go from a sweet love song to a high-energy number to Jackson's ego anthem to a VeggieTales cover.
And then directly into an aggressively titled explicit track by Cody.
The special is clearly using its soundtrack to mirror the emotional and tonal volatility of the narrative. Cody, the wizard, the object of the parody song, naturally delivers the most explicit solo.
It confirms his role as the show's central disruptive force.
And this brings us to what might be the masterpiece of the whole show, the Dumb People Crew's performance.
What's fascinating here is the performance evolution of this group. They started with some very innocent source material, and then they performed a transformation that the reviewer celebrated as being incredibly creative.
This performance is perhaps the most defining piece of musical comedy in the entire special. The Dumb People Crew started rehearsals, or at least the planning phase, by singing the actual Blues Clues' Buddy Boogie.
Okay, so a harmless children's song. It establishes a recognizable, innocent bass line.
Exactly. But for the actual musical show, they performed a complete remix version. And this remix is where the show achieves a peak level of explicit comedic content that the reviewer absolutely adored.
Do we know what was in the remix?
We do. And we have specific details on this remix, which the source confirms was also dubbed the Penis Boogie.
Oh, wow.
The explicit new lines introduced into this formerly innocent children's song include incredibly vulgar phrases like, "Does your penis hang low?" or "Clap them cheeks."
So this transformation is not just a parody. It is a profound act of cultural transgression. They're taking something safe and recognizable and making it deliberately, aggressively vulgar.
The intentional juxtaposition is the joke. They didn't just write a dirty song. They took a beloved, innocent tune and corrupted it entirely. And that effort is what the reviewers specifically lauded.
And that's the key analytical point, isn't it? The source's highly positive reaction is one of the most revealing details in the entire commentary.
It is. The reviewer states, "I started laughing my butt off. It was so creative. Good job, smooth cheeks."
So they're not just reacting to the shock value. They are assessing the artistic merit of the transgression itself.
Yes. The use of the word creative is the ultimate confirmation that the reviewer values audacious subversion.
They are rewarding the ingenuity of taking a deeply established, innocent piece of source material and transforming it into something hysterically transgressive and explicit.
And this performance is highlighted as a high point. It reinforces the idea that for this reviewer, shock, invention, and audacity are absolutely integral to the special's 10 out of 10 quality.
It connects back perfectly to our earlier discussion of Jackson's meta-commentary.
It does. The special operates on the principle that if you are aware of the rules, the fourth wall, the innocence of a Blues Clues song, you are free to break them in the most entertaining and sometimes the most offensive way possible.
So we have covered a talking dog catalyst, a massive cast, a wizard power-up, a fourth wall break, profoundly inappropriate jokes involving children and racism, a warped Steve Hale,
and a musically explicit desecration of a children's theme song.
All wrapped up in a package called Sabrina's Musical Special that earned a perfect rating.
The time for synthesis is upon us. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the special fundamentally represents a remarkable synthesis of contradictions. It's an act of narrative fusion that shouldn't work.
Yet somehow it did, at least for this specific reviewer.
It did.
So summarize for us. How does the special manage to weave together these wildly disparate and conflicting elements without just collapsing into an incoherent mess?
I think the special is successful because it uses two clear conventional structures: the musical format and the classic ensemble rivalry as the frame.
The container.
The container, exactly. And within that frame, It successfully weaves together the high-stakes dramatic conflict, like Cody versus Jackson, the traditional musical segments we see in the song list, and then all the chaotic postmodern elements.
And at the same time, it's integrating celebrity crossover meta-jokes, like the Steve Hale podiatrist joke, with profoundly explicit boundary-pushing humor.
Like the Roy Max subplot in the Dumb People Cruise remix. The structure allowed the chaos to feel contained and purposeful. The songs provided the anchors, while the meta-narrative and the explicit humor provided the spectacle and the unique appeal.
So the constant tonal whiplash is, in fact, the special's defining quality.
I believe so. It never lets the audience settle. You move from the innocence of a VeggieTales cover to bitches in my truck without any warning. And this relentless novelty is what captivated the reviewer.
And their final verdict confirms this assessment. The special is defined by its ability to push past convention.
The commentator's ultimate decision was a perfect 10 out of 10 score. And their justification is key. They praised the special for having charming songs, comedic moments, a good music-style story.
So the technical aspects, the songs, the pacing, the overall narrative flow were deemed high quality.
Very high quality. And they weren't just saying it was good, they elevated it above the competition. The reviewers specifically stated the special was definitely more better than other musicals I've ever seen so far.
That justification, it confirms that the reviewer did not ignore the controversial elements. They likely viewed them as an essential differentiating feature.
I agree. The structural quality, the music, and the story pace provided the necessary foundation. But the sheer reckless audacity in the comedy gave it the winning edge over other, perhaps more conventional musicals.
The special's willingness to go too far was interpreted as a sign of creative ambition.
It had to be.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We have detailed a special that is structurally sound and musically effective, yet contains jokes and narrative choices that the reviewer themselves found morally questionable, even calling one element so wrong.
It raises a profound question about artists' success and value. For a creative work to be rated perfectly while embracing material explicitly designed to be offensive and boundary-pushing, material like the highly inappropriate Stretch the Willy game or the racial joke, it suggests one of two things. Either the quality of the execution, the strength of the songs, and the speed of the story was so exceptional that it transcended the problematic content. Or perhaps, the controversial content itself became the most valuable, defining, and memorable feature of the production, demonstrating a new high bar for creative transgression.
Does the pursuit of absolute boundary-breaking creativity justify the means? And more importantly, when you're reviewing media, does the shock value contribute to the score, or does it simply get neutralized by the quality of the rest of the work?
That is the difficult synthesis that this strange 10 out of 10 special forces us to confront. Is the memory of the Penis Boogie remix more enduring than the chorus of We Are in Love? We leave that with you.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.